Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. Inter versus Roma tomorrow, Saturday evening, 5 p.m. UK time kickoff. We are kicking off right after the Napoli-Torino game. So international break is over. Inter are back. I don't know about you guys. I'm not too happy that the international break is over. I actually enjoyed this one. It's going to be a busy ass period now, non-stop until the next international break, which is the big one, the World Cup break. So up until mid-November, non-stop fixtures, Serie A, Champions League, back-to-back, 2 games a week. It's going to be it's definitely not a marathon right now. It's a sprint, and Inter cannot afford to be left behind in this sprint. And of course, it's not an easy match to come back into, Inter versus Roma. But my main motto for this match, for Inzaghi, for the team, for everyone that's going to be involved in this, and I'm going to use my guy Luciano Spalletti to help me out.
Uomini forti, destini forti. Uomini deboli, destini deboli. Non c'è altra strada.
Uomini forti, destini forti, uomini deboli, destini deboli. Strong man, strong destinies. Weak man, weak destinies. There's no other path. Christian Asllani, definitely one of the main guys I'm aiming this motto, this kind of phrase at, because is he going to start? And if he is going to start, this is the type of game that can make or break a career at a club. If he can step up tomorrow against Roma, starting the game, he can set his career on the way to the levels that we're expecting to, especially me. I was, there's not many times when Inter sign a player that I want to sign, like over the years. Like I've had players at Inter that I've wanted in the past or that I've liked, but we've always signed them at the wrong time, like Alexis, Raja Nainggolan, Correa I like, but didn't particularly want Inter to sign him. But this Perisic, definitely at the time when we signed him, I wanted Inter to sign him. But Asllani is like one of the few rare times where I was like, I want this player and Inter actually ended up signing, and I was surprised. But at the same time, I don't think that Asllani has a massive ceiling. I don't think he has a world class perhaps ceiling, or definitely not like a Ballon d'Or ceiling or anything. But I think he can be a good midfielder in Serie A. He's the type of player I like, technical, ball. He's very comfortable on the ball. He can see a pass. He can be vertical. He can be direct. But if you really want to compare him to a player, and especially, the Empoli comparison makes sense, is Ismail Benacer at Milan. I really like Benacer. I like him more than Tonali. He's the signing that I'm more jealous about that Milan have made over the last few years. And, he's really stepped up this season. Is probably one of the better performing midfielders of the Serie A. So that's the kind of ceiling I see for Asllani, that type of. But now, will he start tomorrow? That is the question. And to help us, I've got 3 different platforms to see if he's actually going to start. So Gazzetta dello Sport have Asllani starting. So that's one. Sport Mediaset, which is usually the least reliable out of the sources that I usually look at, they have him starting in the base of the midfield. Sky Sport Italia, who I reckon to be the most reliable when it comes to predict lineups, they have him starting. So 3 out of 3 of the sources that I look at have him starting. Inzaghi, you said in the summer, or even before the summer actually, Inter, we need a Vice Brozovic. Inter went out, bought Christian Asllani. You said, I don't really see him as a mezzala. I see him as the Vice Brozovic. I see him as a regista. We can disagree about that. He should be played in mezzala, whatever. But you said that you see him in that role. Brozovic, he got injured in Croatia duty, but he would have been suspended for this game anyway. So he should have been slated to starting Asllani anyway. Inzaghi, you have to start Christian Asllani. There's no other way. Uomini forti, destini forti. This is the game that you need to turn things around. And I'm not saying that our season hinges on Christian Asllani starting, but you have to do some future squad planning as well. This is the moment. You shouldn't look at the age of a player. Asllani, he showed that. I know he's only 6 months at Empoli where he showed it, but he showed he's ready for Serie A. He's starting to get games for his national team for Albania as well. according to reports, Inter actually called Eddie Rea, the Albania coach, to ask them not to play Asllani in the last game against, I think against Iceland, I believe, because he played the previous one. So surely there must be a reason to that if that is true. So he just has to start. He has to start. If he makes a mistake, that's the thing. We are willing to accept a mistake from a young up-and-coming player like Asllani. The fan base, whether you call it a scapegoat or whatever you want to call it, we're fed up as most of the fan base of the Gagliardini. If he makes a mistake, he's going to be scapegoated. I don't agree with that, but we're just fed up of seeing Gagliardini in the starting lineup. We know his limitations, we know his weaknesses, we know his strengths. We want to see a fresh face, whether that's just kind of like a weird obsession now. We just want to see Asllani, whether he's good or not. But I think Asllani is good. I want to see him starting. Whether he will play good or not, we don't know. I have faith in him. I think he will step up. San Siro at home, the crowd will be with him. I know the San Siro crowd can be a bit particular. They can start, having a few murmurs and a few boos, a few bad touches. But I hope they will back the boy if he starts. But yeah, that is my main kind of talking point here. There's other, obviously, really interesting talking points about this match. Primarily Mkhitaryan and Edin Dzeko. They are both, of course, ex-Roma players. Mkhitaryan, very, very recent ex-Roma player. Actually, he scored in the last Inter versus Roma game. The 3-1 win that we had against them. Mkhitaryan came in later on into the box. One of the things that he does well, great finish into the corner. So if he does start, which he is slated to be starting in predicted lineup, I'm expecting something like that. I'm expecting the goal of the ex-player from Mkhitaryan or Dzeko. Dzeko's already shown that he's done that last season. He scored twice against them, one in the Coppa Italia and one in the away game when we smashed them 3-0. So hopefully Dzeko continues that streak. And then another interesting kind of talking point between is Acerbi, of course, as a former Lazio player, played many Rome derbies. He knows what it's like to play against Roma, and he's slated to be starting ahead of Stefan de Vrij, which, we know that's probably the right decision at the moment, the way de Vrij is playing and the way that Acerbi is playing, not just for Italy, not just for Inter, but for Italy as well with the international break. He was actually very solid for Italy as well. And I think he adds a bit more solidity back there. Hopefully Skriniar and Bastoni, especially Bastoni, are back to their levels. Bastoni, we know, has had a very disappointing start to the season, but I think him and Di Marco with their technique, and I expect a lot coming from that left-hand side, especially with Mkhitaryan. If it is Bastoni, Asllani, Mkhitaryan, Di Marco, Dzeko, like combining on the left-hand side there, that's a very technical left-hand side. And I'd much rather us be using that left-hand side rather than right-hand side. We know the limitations of Skriniar, but especially Dumfries when building up play. He should be used as he is for Holland. Dumfries with the Netherlands got an assist because he is used as he should be, right towards the end of the play. Give him that last pass into the space, he'll run onto it and cross it in. And I guess, against Roma last season, he scored twice, Dumfries. The one, obviously, we know his first one, that diving had a beautiful goal from the Bastoni cross, and the other one, the Hakan through ball into space. That is how you need to use Dumfries, in space on the transition. So I hope the Inter players know how to use it. Again, no start for Robin Gosens. Di Marco has been in good form for Italy in the international break. So I guess just based on form, he deserves it. But again, I want to see Robin Gosens get at least 3 to 4 games in a row, man. Like that's not the way to integrate a player. The same way that I used to moan at Conte about Eriksen, like play the guy 4 or 5 games in a row. Then we can say, okay, he's not good enough. He hasn't integrated. He's dusted. Bad signing. 1 game here, 1 game off, 1 game here. That is not the way to integrate a player. But it is what it is at the moment. There isn't, it's not like Gosens has been, smashing it out of the park. So the left wing back position we know is just the question mark. In goal, the question mark remains Handanovic, but there's nothing we can do about it. There's no point even discussing that. We know in the Serie A, 100% is going to be Samir, and I hope he steps up if he needs to. And Lautaro scored for Argentina in the international break, as he often does. So I hope he brings that form back to Inter. Although him and Correa only traveled back yesterday from Argentina or from America, from the USA. So, with those time differences and that jet lag can always impact these South American players, but he should be ready to go. So I'm happy with the lineup. To be fair, I want to see this lineup. This is the lineup I want to see, because Hakan is back. Hakan is back fit, but he's not going to be. If he's going to start, he doesn't have 90 minutes for sure. So I think you might as well rest him for the Barcelona game. Maybe give him 10-20 minutes at the end to get him back into rhythm. But I think it makes sense to start Mkhitaryan. He was there over the international break, with the team as well. Maybe he's got a point to prove after he was let's not forget, he was one of the ones subbed off. I know the focus was on Bastoni against Udinese, the subbing off, but Mkhitaryan was one of the other ones that got subbed off. So he's probably got a point to prove to Inzaghi about, don't do that to me again. The only other injuries, of course, we know about Brozovic, who's suspended plus injured. Let's see how long that will be for. It looks like it might be 20 to 30 days, which is not ideal at all. Lukaku was supposed to be, coming back for this game, but it looks like he might not even make the bench. He might not even make the bench for this one, and now it's getting worrying because, oh man, he was, we had a very difficult transfer market, but he was kind of not even the cherry on top of the cake. I said he was the cake, and right now the cake looks like it's not good at all. At the moment, you can see that the pattern for his injuries is getting worse and worse. Since his time at Chelsea, this is his worst injury. Alongside that, the thing is, at the moment it's such a busy period that he's actually missed so many games because of this. It's not that long of an injury, but is because of such a busy period we're in. He's missed a lot of games. So I hope, and it's probably good that Inter are not trying to risk him, because we don't want to lose him for the rest of the this busy period. But at the same time, it would have been ideal to have him back, especially for the Barcelona game. But it is what it is at the moment. Of course, people that were saying that this guy without Pintus is nothing, without Conte is nothing. Maybe you guys were spitting after all. As you can see, it's just at Chelsea there was Inter. You barely ever got injured when you saw his record at Inter. Even at United, you could see, and Everton. It wasn't not a player's going to get injured once a season, like that's like normal. But there does seem to be a trend developing in Lukaku's physique that maybe more injuries are coming there. But it is what it is. We got to play with what we have. On the other side, let's have a quick look at Rome. Actually, quickly, we have a very good record against Roma recently. We have been smashing them, surprisingly. As I've talked with Wayne in Rome, check out my preview I did with him on his channel. We since last season or the season before, 3-1 to us, then 3-0, then 2-0, and then 3-1 again. Like they've been our whipping boys recently, very surprisingly so. Especially since Mourinho's been there, I would thought they would have been doing a bit better. By the way, Mourinho's suspended for tomorrow's game, so he'll be in the stands. So I'm sure he'll still get his amazing reception, just like he got last time. And at the moment, Roma, they're obviously been in good form. They've had a good transfer window, but they've not been as impressive as you'd think. They're just 1 point ahead of us, and they've lost 2 games. They've only got they haven't conceded as many as us, but they've only scored 8 goals. So they've had an up and down season at the moment, and they lost against Ludogorets in the Europa League, and they lost 4-0 to Udinese as well. So they're not the best team in the league for sure, but they're definitely an improved team from last season, in my opinion. And when we look at their predicted lineup, you can see it is a strong team. The interesting part will be similar to Lukaku. Dybala was injured just before the international break. He missed their last game against Atalanta, which they lost. So they have Dybala starting, but the other Gazzetta has Zaniolo starting and Pellegrini behind Abraham, and so does Sport Media Set. So I doubt that Dybala will be starting. I reckon it probably will be Pellegrini in the attacking midfield role. At the back, unchanged back 3. They have improved, but still that is the weakness in their team, if there is a weakness in their team. Zaniolo, funnily enough, and we talked about it with Wayne as well, he's never scored against Inter since, like, you know, the rule, there's pretty much an unwritten rule that ex-Inter player, especially an ex-Inter youth player, has to score against Inter. But Zaniolo's actually never scored against Inter, and apparently he's never won against Inter, which is a very interesting stat. But in the form that we're in, you can just see, you know, Zaniolo has got a point to prove at the moment with Mancini as well for the national team. I could see this the game being where he scores against us. So overall, I am not actually too confident going into this game, even though our record against Roma is really good. I still feel the team hasn't recovered, is not to the level that we were last season. I'm gonna go for a 1-1 or a 2-2. Yeah, let's go for a 1-1 draw. I think I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw. Dzeko, Mkhitaryan to get the goal against Roma, and then Zaniolo to break his duck against Inter. That's my prediction. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. What do you make of the whole situation with Asllani? What do you make of the predicted lineups? What do you make of the match prediction? Let me know in the comments down below. See you tomorrow for the post-match reaction. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Ciao.